Wasabi, guys. Oh my god, that was a long one. Holy hell. How's it going, Will Tactics, with the $5 super chat? Showing some love to my favorite Magic YouTuber. Do more live streams, Void. Absolute. I want to do more. I want to do more of them. I have to do more of them. I got to make this like a weekly thing because it's so easy for me to get comfortable and just want to relax and maybe take off a couple days. No, I gotta spend at least an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, talking to people live. I gotta hang out. And thank you so much for that. Well, you're a returning fan, so got to show some love to my returning fans here. Jules Renton Cook or something. I don't know. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Hi, how's it going? So I wanted to just go over some decks. I want to look at some of the more recent decks here. Let me share my screen. We're going to go over to Moxfield. All right. Awesome. So you can see my face there. Or not my face. You can see my icon on the left. I don't have my webcam turned on. Jamie AGB. Hello, everyone. How's it going? So I'm just going to be looking at decks. I think it's always fun. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already, go check out my profile. Because I made the switch earlier this year from Tapped Out to Moxfield. I just like the layout better. Is this using like the same layout? Is it from Scryfall? Because I think it's Moxfield from Scryfall. Like the same people who make that site. I don't know. But I've made most of my decks in 2021 almost exclusively on Moxfield. So going back to browse the decks, we've got this cool deck here that was just made 7 minutes ago. Krark and Shima, CEDH. Let's look and see what that's about. Kevin Fields. Also, I might like these decks. I might like them. I might follow the person if they impress me. Yeah, Krark and Sakashima. So that's a very popular combination in partner commanders because you do have the ability to get yourself 2 Krarks and then you can coin flip twice and get even more copies. As expected, instant and sorcery stuff, harmonic prodigy, so you get even more triggers. I almost forgot Krark was a wizard there, but that's a newer card here for Modern Horizons 2. That's also a benefit of looking at newer decks, is that they'll include some of the newest cards in here. So I could look at just any competitive EDH deck, but if I look at the ones that were just made, you're going to see influence from the new set. Let me read the chat here for a second. Jamie says, Commander Void, thank you for your insight on deck building and showing cards that could usually be overlooked. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you all for watching, because that's really how my channel started to grow. When I started doing them in 2017, I started making those underrated commander videos, and I just go over 10 cards that maybe not a lot of people talk about. Connor H says, I remember a while back in an EDH Rec podcast, and yeah, I'm pretty sure they are the same creator. Yeah, Scryfall and Moxfield. They either use like the same servers, something like that. Will Tactics, bro, Modern Horizons 2 is straight Fugo. I got 4 fetch lands in my pre-release. Yeah, the fetch lands being reprinted, that's a huge draw for a lot of people, because we had gone so long without a reprint. Actually, no, that's not true. We got them in Modern Masters 2017. But it's been a long time since that too, so they are musts if you're looking to make your deck a little bit more competitive. But where we left off here. Of course, we have Wandering Archaic. I love seeing this card in competitive decks. Whenever I play it, I've played it a few times already, and I have to say it's not as exciting as I thought it would be, where everyone's just playing recklessly. It's kind of like with Ristic Study. You think everybody's just going to let you draw a bunch of cards. No, that's not the case. Everyone plays around it. It's not fun. But it's good if you're looking to slow them down, if you're looking to make them more uncomfortable. They will have to pay an additional 2, or you get to copy their demonic tutor, you get to copy their counterspell and then counter their counterspell. So that's always a threat. Hull Breacher, of course, not super new, but newer. Bergie is a great inclusion, of course. Everybody loves playing Bergie now because you get that crazy mana production. Who's this? Tavern Scoundrel. Whenever you win a coin flip, create 2 treasure tokens. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's definitely going to work well with our commander. You got Veyron just to get double the triggers. So that's great. I love that. Trying to see if there's anything else new. We do have that ugly artwork from Faithless Looting. Everyone talks about that artwork now. I went to a store and someone pulled out a Faithless Looting that was from this set, this secret layer here. And they wouldn't talk about anything outside of just how unusual this is. Like, it doesn't look like it should be a Magic card. That's what everyone says. Nothing super new here. Deflecting Swat, Valakut Awakening, Jeweled Lotus. I'm just looking for some newer cards here too. I'm looking to see if there's anything brand new. But yeah, it looks like, typical Krark and Sakashima. So I'll give this person a like on their deck. But we got to find something else here. Connor H says, don't forget the secret layer ones that were super expensive. Yeah, the secret layer ones. My problem with secret layer, and I've said this in my video for the Stranger Things one, I've said that it's always been a mistake. I don't think when you have so many things that are labeled as a collector's item, like here's a specialty collector's product, guys. But it's a collector's product that anyone can buy, right? If you have enough money, you can buy it. So it's not that it's rare, it's that it's just expensive. And there is a difference between rarity and just making something expensive. And the best comparison I can give is when you made the expeditions from Battle for Zendikar, make that so that you don't have any of these weird booster box variants. It's just one booster box. You open it. You have a chance of getting one. You have a chance of getting one expedition. Not every booster box. That's rarity. That's how you do rarity. You don't do rarity by making like 1,000 different collector's item products because nobody cares. It has a cheapening effect when you have all these different products and all these different secret layers. And if you have, it's sort of like when people say, if you have to say you're special, you're not special. It's if you have to make your product, if you have to label it a collector's item, it's not a collector's item. That's my opinion. Those are my 2 cents. Will Tactics says, I built an Oscar the Reconstructor deck. I need that Soul Talisman. Well, that'd be one of the only decks that will really take advantage of it, right? Yeah, Soul Talisman, Mox Tanalite. I know I kind of dumped on them, but there are some ways that you can take advantage of them in Commander. Lathril, Super Friends, Quintorius's Eldrazi Excavation. What's that about? Dirtler, Summoner as Quintorius's Eldrazi Excavation. Last updated 15 minutes ago. So this is the guy that your spirits get +1 power. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, you create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Let me change the view here. No, visual grid. There we go. So artifact, graveyard, recursion here, Ulamog. I'm guessing there's some way to really take advantage of that. Yadaro, Wandering Monster. That's pretty cool. Anything brand new? Reconstruct Histories, great graveyard manipulation. Yeah, this does look to be more competitive. Wow. I'll have to check and see if there's some sort of primer here. Oh, there's that new card, Out of Time. When Out of Time enters the battlefield, untap all creatures, then phase them out until Out of Time leaves the battlefield. Put a time counter on Out of Time for each creature phased out this way. That's a pretty cool card. Is there a primer here? There it is. Okay, so why Quintorius? Quintorius's passive ability to create spirits offers us value throughout the game, as we will be reanimating our artifacts as well as using cards with flashbacks such as Faithless Looting and Seven's Reclamation, which will each generate us 4/2 bodies because of Quintorius's static abilities. There are other cards that are efficient even without Quint on the board but generate additional value while he is there, such as Yadaro, which will usually draw you a card and make a spirit, but eventually turns into a body if the game goes long enough. Additionally, our primary win con is through a Basalt Monolith and Mesmeric Orb. So doing that with Quint on the battlefield will mill our library and create infinite shuffles with our Titans. So that's the reason why you're playing an Ulamog. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. How do we win? Our primary combo is to use Basalt Monolith and Mesmeric Orb with Quintorius on the board to mill our library and generate infinite graveyard shuffles with Ulamog and create infinite 4/2s. A lot of the times, opponents don't see this combo coming, as one of the pieces is intentionally hidden in our library for as long as possible. So if you can activate this on the end step before your turn starts, you can swing out with your spirits on our main phase and do not have to worry about any further pieces. Backup pieces, if your opponents do see our combo coming, we've got a few ways to win on our turn for a little extra mana. The cheapest ones to look for if you need a main phase win are Goblin Bombardment and, of course, Impact Tremors. These should be your first backup pieces to look for as long as you've got a red mana to spend on them. Otherwise, search Blasting Station. If you feel you need more payoffs in this, you can add a Perforos, but I found them a little too expensive, and we've got enough ways of getting the other options out of our graveyard if they get hated off the board anyway. Alternate win cons here, we have Zerta the Dawnwaker in this deck in order to facilitate infinite mana with Basalt Monolith or Grim Monolith, and draw our deck using Staff of Domination. From here, we can cast Impulsive Draw cards and Wheels in order to manually shuffle our library for essentially as many red mana as we have access to. In this situation, you'll want to cast Burgi, so that you can infinitely cast Wheel of Fortune and generate infinite shuffles that way. If you want, there's also a Walking Ballista to be found here. I've chosen not to include it in the main list, as I want to keep this deck tuned to around a mid-level table without a million different win cons. So that right there, I think it's a pretty cool deck. Pretty cool deck there. Let's see. Connor H says, I'm in the same boat. At least the Mystical Archive cards are pretty well executed. Yeah, I think it depends really how they do it. I think it should be a LGS exclusive, but that's me. You have to go there. They only have a limited supply. That's better than what they're doing now with direct to Hasbro. Raphael Martin says, hi, Commander Void. Do you think it's possible to build a Yarok deck around $400 and $500? Absolutely. You can do it even cheaper than that. I mean, you can use CEDH Rec as a resource. That's a first go-to. And then they'll have an option where you can select budget and you can go cheap or expensive. This in addition to also just looking up budget Yarok deck lists. I'm certain there are some out there that are maybe even under 100. But under 100 is going to be pretty weak. So you can totally keep it to under $400 if that's what you're looking to do. Will Tactics, thank you for the $2. Catch you later, Void. Headed to the beach. Well, thank you so much, Will, for stopping by, and I hope you have a good day at the beach. So I did like this deck. I think this deck's pretty funny. I really do. Basically, shuffling the deck infinitely, milling yourself out, getting a ton of the spirits. Definitely a unique way to take advantage of a red-white commander. Red-white commanders don't really do that well. Let's see. Not to be a pest, but... Okay, so this is a commander deck. I was worried there at first. So our commander is Grist, the Hunger Tide. What? No, I don't think we can do that. I guess this must be a special theme deck. Anything else here? Slivers. When I look at the newest decks, I want to see something like a brand new commander. And you don't always see that. Sometimes you see like slivers, you see attracts boring stuff that everyone's played with. Here we go. Recipe for Disaster. Updated 31 minutes ago. Only 21 views so far. Let me get some water here real quick. There's also a website for CEDH-ish decks around $575 or $750, but they haven't really updated that recently. Yeah, you can find a resource for just about everything. How many people we got here? We got about 20 people in here. Thank you all for stopping by. I don't usually stream, so it's going to be a little bit awkward for me. I'm not used to doing it as much. But thank you all for stopping by. Nevertheless, oh dear God, I have to try to pronounce this commander's name. Asmorana Castinaculdar Kuldakar? I don't know. I know that guy Jimmy from Game Nights, he said it like really fast, but he probably rehearsed it several times beforehand. So I don't know how impressive that really is. So as long as you've discarded a card this turn, you may pay a hybrid black or red mana to cast it. When whatever her name is enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card named the Underworld Cookbook, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. You can sacrifice 2 foods, target creature deals 6 damage to itself. So that right there, I love the removal. I think that's great. Having these commanders that synergize with food tokens. We also had Guillaume, the orc dude, the ogre dude, or whatever he was from Commander 2021. So this is yet another commander option that deals with foods. And as expected, we're talking about discard here, value off of discard like anger. Hold on, let me change the view here. Just so it's not boring. I know people don't like just looking at a bunch of text. Yeah, this is definitely about discard. Archfiend of Ifnir's a good one. So you get some removal value there. Oh, wow, that's a crazy new artwork for Dark Confidant. Chainer, more value off of discard. See, anything brand new here? There's Seasoned Pyromancer. That same Faithless Looting artwork again. Mana Crypt. Yeah, there's the Underworld Cookbook. So what does it do? We tap it to discard a card to create a food token. So that does synergize with our commander because that's the cost of getting her out there. We pay 4 mana and tap it, sacrifice the Underworld Cookbook, return target creature card from our graveyard to our hand. So we get another, we get Witch's Oven. So I'm kind of sad how this doesn't interact with our commander. Like, we don't also search this up. You guys remember that one card? Was it Festering Newt, Bogbrew Witch, and the Bubbling Cauldron? There were 3 cards from Commander 2014 that all interacted with each other. You had like one that searched up the other, one that searched up the other, or one that interacted with the other. That's what I like to see. I like to see cards that specifically interact with something else. That's just cool to me. So I like this commander because you are able to search up this Underworld Cookbook. Even if it's not super powerful, I like the flavor there. Yeah. So this looks to be a bit more competitive. It really does. It looks to be more competitive. You got Necromancy in there. I love this card, Tectonic Reformation. Each land card in your hand has cycling of 1 red. So it's an easy way to discard. Easy way to discard. You get card draw off of cycling. And that looks to be it. Is there a primer? I always want to check and see if there's a primer just in case it doesn't look like it. So I can get their, how they choose to win with the stack or what, the combos, interactions, the setup. But it doesn't look like it. I still like the deck. Still like it. Ooh, Blim, here you go. Now that's a commander option I don't really think I see a lot of. That was just 3 minutes ago someone made that deck. So let's go ahead and see what they're doing with it. 007 Blade 007. That's the person's name. I like the idea of giving your opponents cards that they can't really do much with. So, for those of you who don't know, whenever Blim Comedic Genius deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of target permanent you control. Then each player loses a life and discards cards equal to the number of permanents they control but don't own. Now, I believe this means that you can just give them whatever card you want to give them. I don't know if they're the one who targets your permanent, but that's still pretty cool. Let's see here. Visual grid. For all of you who do use Moxfield, just know that you can have these set up so that they're default, like visual grid, so you can see all the cards. And whatever tags you have, you can have special categories. It just makes it a little bit more pleasant to look at. So this is fun too. I love cards like Abyssal Persecutor. You can't win the game and your opponents can't lose the game. So you give this to an opponent, they're pretty much... they get a 6/6 flying trample creature, so that's great. But it does hurt them. Acheron Horse is awesome. Bizarre Trader, another way to give them something they don't want. This is why I love the deck. This is why I love it. You can't play creature spells. You can't play creature spells. And it just sits out there. Just sits out there. That's awesome. Gold Knight Castigator. If a source would deal damage to you, it deals double that damage to you instead. If a source would deal damage to Gold Knight Castigator, it deals double that damage to Gold Knight Castigator instead. I do love that card. I remember seeing that and thinking, man, there's a way I can take advantage of this. I got a 4/9 Flying Haste Angel. That's got to be good somewhere. It's not awful if you choose to play it the way I think it was intentionally intended to be played. Like, it's a great angel, good stats, but it does have the downside of leaving you to be dealt with double damage. No, this is the way it was meant to be played. This is the way it was really meant to be played, giving it to your opponents. Ebon Drake, whenever a player plays a spell, you lose a life. Humble Defector's a nicer card. Rust Elemental, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice an artifact other than Rust Elemental. If you can't tap it and you lose 4 life. Plague Reaver, at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice each other creature you control. And then you discard 2 cards and sacrifice it. Choose target opponent. Return Plague Reaver to the battlefield under that player's control at the beginning of the next upkeep. At the beginning of their next upkeep. So it's very punishing. Sleeper Agent comes into play. Target opponent gains control of it at the beginning of your upkeep. It deals 2 damage to you. Steel Golem. You can't play summon or artifact creature spells. That's going to be pretty painful. Pretty painful. Basically another grid monitor. And Zancha, of course. Harmless Offering does pretty much the same thing as Bizarre Trader. It's just a one-time use Bizarre Trader. This looks like a fun deck. Crown of Doom. Crown of Doom is funny. You can't gain control of it. That's the cool thing about it, is that once you give it to an opponent, they can only give it to another opponent. So whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets +2 power until end of turn. That's pretty funny. If damage would be dealt to you, prevent that damage. Remove a card in your graveyard from the game for each 1 damage prevented this way. When there are no cards in your graveyard, you lose the game. I'd love to give that to an opponent. That sounds like a lot of fun. Wishclaw Talisman and Pendant of Prosperity, making it easier to trigger our Blim, and Aggressive Mining. Aggressive Mining might be my favorite card that almost never sees play. It's also a good Zedru card because you can also give your opponent's cards in Zedru. So you can't play lands. You can, however, sacrifice a land to draw 2 cards. You can only activate this once each turn, though. So you give this to an opponent, they're kind of screwed. It's very mean. It's very mean. What's this one? Kulvanor's Plans. Comes into play. Remove the top 7 cards of your library from the game face down. You may look at it and play cards removed from the game with Kulvanor's Plans. You skip your draw step. You can't play more than 1 spell each turn. And of course, the funny trick here is to get Demonic Pact down low enough and then give control over it. Give control of it to another opponent before the lose condition is met. Demonic Lore. It enters the battlefield. You draw 3 cards at the beginning of your end step. If you lose 2 life for each card in your hand, so that's funny. You play it, you get the benefit, but you switch it off when you get the you get that punishing 2 life for each card in your hand. And Lich's Mastery. Hexproof, you can't lose the game, but that doesn't matter because the condition for not losing the game is whenever you gain life, you draw that many cards. Actually, no, whenever you lose life for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or your graveyard. So the whole point of this is that you give this to an opponent, you wear them down, you keep attacking them, they keep losing life. They're not going to have enough cards to make up for that. They'll eventually have to get rid of Lich's Mastery, and once that happens, they lose. Pyromancer's Swath. If an instant or sorcery you control would deal damage to a creature or player, it deals that much damage plus 2 to that creature or player instead. At the beginning of your end step, though, you have to discard your hand. That is hilarious. I love this deck. So it looks like there's also not a primer for this, but I don't think we need a primer. Pretty self-explanatory. Let's see what you all are saying here. Yeah, remember there's a Game Nights draft where Jimmy got the 3 all together. Yeah, that was the what is it? Not. It was the core set 2014 with the Bogbrew Witch and Festering Newt and the Bubbling Cauldron. That'd be really funny to do in Limited. It really sucks that Zedru the Great-Hearted, I think you mean, and Blim can't be in each other's decks. I think there should be some sort of, if we ever go back to 4-color commander, we should have like Zedru with black, that kind of commander. That'd be pretty fun. See why this deck is called Here You Go. Yeah, it's very, very brutal, very punishing. But that's what's fun about a lot of these commander decks, too. I don't like the most competitive decks. I think my favorite deck I'm playing right now is a Shadrick Silverquill deck. And that's all about politics and pseudo group hug. So it's really just about interacting with the board and having fun. And I feel like that would be right up my alley. So let's see what else here. What else is here I can really have some fun with? I'll probably go for like an hour this live stream. It's really just to make up for the fact that I didn't have a video planned for today, but I will have them planned for the rest of the week. I'm kind of Garthed out. I know everybody loves Garth. I'm kind of Garthed out. Too many Garth conversations. Everyone's like, oh, Black Lotus. Just play it infinitely. Oh, speaking of Zedru, there you go. Budget review. Let's see. Exquisite Smog Hulk. So I'm guessing that's a competitive EDH deck. Enchantress Storm, that's modern though. All right, I'll probably go back up here and check this deck out here. Budget review says 4 views, updated 26 minutes ago by Solstice using Jury Master of the Revue. So this is a cool commander, not super powerful, but if you're looking to play more of like an aggressive deck, only a 2-mana commander. Whenever you sack a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Jury Master of the Revue. When Jury dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Popular strategy, I'm guessing, is going to be Fling. Just so you can get her up there pretty high, and then you just fling her at an opponent, I guess. So the creatures here all going to deal with sacrifice, so you can get those +1/+1 counters. Pretty typical for black to just have a lot of good sacrifice cards. And Thud's another fling effect there. I'm guessing there's also the fling. That's pretty much what this deck does. Ooh, ad nauseum. Ooh. You know, I love seeing that. I love seeing Bolas' Citadel. So what are we going to do here really quickly? They have to explain that in a primer. They don't have one. They don't have a primer. I want to know, like, what we can do with ad nauseum, what we can do with Bolas' Citadel. I mean, it's not bad to play them in any deck, but I kind of feel like we need to know what we're doing here. Like, we do have rituals, I guess. Is that Dark Ritual? No, I don't think that is. Seething Song. So we are able to do something immediately after ad nauseum. I just don't know exactly what it is. Maybe we generate value off of Ashnod's Altar. Yeah, I'm not really certain what we're supposed to do after we get like a Bolas' Citadel. I don't know how we go off there. Is there any sort of infinite? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, I don't know how competitive this deck is going to be. It just seems like it was kind of thrown together a little bit. It's a cool commander, though. Oh, that's Pioneer. That's Modern. Yuriko, $50 budget. Okay, Carousel, Codie, Omni Show, Locust Recall. Let's take a look at this. It's been a while since I looked at a Codie deck here. Yeah, he seems just overtuned, so eventually he'll fall out of favor, like the Simic Pod Commander. Did you look at my Nin the Paint Artist deck yet? Not sure what you're referring to. Did you send me something on Twitter? If it was like a YouTube comment thing, I might have missed it. 11 hour. Sorry about that. I'm just stretching. Get some water here real quick. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. If I missed it, I guess I missed it. The best way to contact me for like to check out decks in the future for anybody here is to send me something on Twitter. If you want me to check out your deck, maybe offer, things that I would replace, whatever, do like a deck doctor video. I'll definitely try to help you out there. And the best way to do that is definitely through Twitter. I mentioned it in your comments like 10,000 times. Whoa, it's a running gag. That does seem familiar. I think there's like so many people who ask me for like if I'll ever do a deck. I have no problem if people like send me a deck list and they want me to look at it and give them some advice. But I'll occasionally have people who I guess it's a joke now, it's a gag. They'll go in there and they'll be like, "So when are you going to do this? When are you going to do a deck tech specifically for this one commander?" And it's not even like a newer commander. It'll be some commander that's been around for a long time, like Nin the Pain Artist. And I can't promise you like I'll do a deck tech for every single commander. I might get around to it. Might be overestimating my numbers a bit, just a bit. Just a little bit. No, it's all right. Again, like if you're serious about me looking at that deck, just shoot me a link on Twitter. I mean, if you do it right now, I could look at it while I'm still live. All right, so this is Carousel, Codie, Omni Show, Locust, Recall. Codie deck. Again, no primer. I don't really do primers either, so I don't know why I'm complaining. But this looks to be a pure spellcaster strategy, taking advantage of Magecraft off a Stormkiln Artist, Witherbloom Apprentice, Gutter Snipe. I love Gutter Snipe and Witherbloom Apprentice. I like that flavor there, because you're also going to be pinging them for damage and life loss. Let's see, what is this? Kelpie Guide. I don't think I've seen this card before. Untap another target permanent you control, or you can tap a target permanent. So that's really just to take advantage of our Codie. Codie is such an unusual commander, if you didn't already know, because you can't cast permanent spells. So I'm guessing that's why there's only 12 creatures here. We want to limit the number of our total permanents. This is all about our instants and sorceries. Just make a pure instant and sorcery deck. Chatterstorm. Now, Chatterstorm getting a ton of squirrels. That's interesting. That is interesting. I don't know how competitive this deck is going to be, but we do see Ancestral Vision, and that's Ancestral Vision to really take advantage of what is kind of like a pseudo Cascade. It's not Cascade itself, but you pay 4 mana, you tap this, and whenever you cast your next spell this turn, you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. So until the end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. That's why we have the Ancestral Vision here. We should also have, if it's in here, I don't know why we don't have the Tutor. I don't know why we don't have the Suspend Tutor. I think the Suspend Tutor would be really good. The Suspend Yawgmoth's Will, Gaia's Will, would be really good in here too. I don't know why. We see Chatterstorm, but we don't see those other 2 Storm cards. We don't see those other 2, those 2 Suspend cards from the brand new set. I think those would be really cool inclusions. Yeah, it's kind of the weird thing about these 5-color commanders is sometimes they just lack focus, and it doesn't really appeal to me anymore. Like, I have to understand the theme that they were going for in order to really appreciate their deck. So, yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. What's going on here? Okay. All right, 11 hour. 11. Wait, I don't know how to say your name. I'm guessing it's 11 hour. All right, I just followed you back on Twitter. So I think you should be able to DM me then. Okay. Let's see what else is here. Let's find another fun deck. Ooh, Chef Hulk. Chef Hulk 11 minutes ago by Sleep Strong. And it comes with a primer, too. It comes with a primer. Guessing this is competitive. Yep. Awesome. Get to see a cool competitive deck with Guillaume Master Chef. At the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn. You can pay 1 mana and sacrifice a food target creature gains indestructible until end of turn, and then you tap it. The new Planeswalker here, Grist the Hunger Tide. So we get to fool around with insects. I'm guessing, this is going to be a competitive deck. I just don't know how we take advantage of it yet. But it does come with a primer, which is always good. If you're making your own obscure competitive EDH deck and you know you have combos there, it's always nice to write down what exactly your deck does. Glissa the Trader is a fun inclusion. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. That's nice. That's got to be part of a combo here. If not, it's still a pretty good card. We have Protean Hulk, so we know what we're doing there. Viscera Seer, Walking Ballista, Chaosian Hollowed. No secrets there. Cabal Therapy. That's one of my favorite card arts, is that Cabal Therapy from a while ago. I even like the original one, the Ron Spencer artwork. Let's see if we can... No, we can't look at it. But yeah, we get the Great Tutor here, Imperial Seal. Seems to be pretty cool. Krark Clan Ironworks to sacrifice those food tokens for 2 mana. I love it. And the new card, Void Mirror. Fun fact, they actually made this card because of my channel. They made Void Mirror because of me. No, I'm just kidding. They did not make Void Mirror because of me. That would be cool, though, if they reached out to me, if someone from Wizards of the Coast, if that Gavin Very guy messaged me and he's like, hey, we want to make a Magic card based on you. Here's a Void Mirror. But this is still a pretty good card, even if it has nothing to do with me. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no colored mana was spent to cast it, you counter that spell. So that really shuts down. I don't really know how much it does shut down, though. You know what I mean? I guess if it's cards that are being cast for free, it shuts that down, and there are some competitive decks that will cast spells for free. And that's technically a spell that you're casting without paying colored mana for. I don't know. But I'm guessing it's there just for that reason and that reason alone. Torpor Orbs, another great 8 card. Trinisphere, Tangled Wire, Static Orb. This deck looks pretty painful. Conqueror's Flail. Just to shut them down, kind of like a Grand Abolisher. That's awesome. Animate Dead. Necropotence. Chains of Mephistopheles. Chains of Mephistopheles. That's also insane. You'll occasionally look through these competitive decks, and I think we've all had that feeling, wow, I could play this one day. I could put this deck together, and then you see a card like this, and you're like, nope. I think I'd rather save up for a car payment, maybe. Chains of Mephistopheles. You gotta be kidding me. When are we gonna get the commander that taps to give us a copy of Chains of Mephistopheles? Like a Garth, another Garth. That'd be awesome. Food Chain, of course, that's probably one of the main win cons here. We also have Protean Hulk, so the fact that we have both Protean Hulk in this deck and Food Chain, wow. Carpet of Flowers, and we have both Urborg and Yavi Maya, because this person wanted extra flavor. Let's go look at this primer. Let's look at the chat here first. Connor H says, I had a Joda deck that was absolutely awful, but it was the splashy spells deck I wanted and got. So I effectively made a deck that uses extra turns to ramp into nothing. Yeah, Joda's a fun random spells commander. I remember when that commander first came out and everyone's like, I can play this massive spell now. I can play in Garrick's Wake for only 5 mana. Dude, Grist is cool. I agree. Grist is a cool-looking commander, or a cool-looking planeswalker. Yeah, Void Mirror shuts down Eldrazi pretty quick. Well, it depends, because you can spend colored mana on an Eldrazi. I guess you're talking about like colorless stacks, so that makes sense. But for, I guess, competitive EDH, you probably would you would use it to shut down some kind of some storm strategy, because storm cards that are copied and cast, right? No mana spent to cast those, or I don't know. I'm not an expert on competitive EDH, but that's what I'm guessing is useful for Voidmere. Primer, currently a WIP Hulk deck. What does that mean? Trying to build in a way that doesn't erase the design of the commander while still being fast enough to get wins in more powerful playgroups. Chef Hulk is the starting point for a CEDH deck designed to prey on other faster combo lists while utilizing your commander in various stacks pieces to break parity and protect your own Protean Hulk piles. The deck also utilizes several alternate combos to win when the Hulk line isn't available. People will say that there are better commanders for this type of strategy, but Guillaume Master Shelf also has the ability to protect our combo from a wide range of removal spells, as well as helping create artifacts that we can use for mana generation, cost reduction, Guillaume. I guess they meant to say pump Guillaume with a cranial plating and start the beatdowns, or tap down problematic creatures before attacks. And the Hulk piles, there are a few different creatures that you can search up to win the game, albeit some are a little more resilient than others. And the Hulk pile 1 here is this is going to be your most resilient and generally your go-to combo route, which is only harder to disrupt if Guillaume and a food token are in play. After sacrificing Protean Hulk through Viscera Seer, grab Lesser Massacre, Metallic Mimic, Disciple of the Vault, and a Sylvan Safekeeper. With Mimic, you name Masticore as the creature type, sack it with Viscera Seer triggering Persist and the Mimic's ability, creating an infinite loop. Since Lesser Massacre is an artifact, it triggers Disciple of the Vault, killing the table. That's pretty cool. Use Sylvan Safekeeper as needed to protect your combo pieces. And then the Hulk pile 2, it's as simple as going to get Marilyn of the Morn Song and Opposition Agent. That's a fun combo too. So you just basically steal everything they search. And that's off the initial Hulk trigger. The combo is harder to protect against exile effects, but if you have Guillaume on board and food tokens, you can make either or both combo pieces indestructible. Pass the turn, and each opponent will have a tutor card, but thanks to Opposition Agent, you control their tutors, and you get to use those cards. Marilyn makes it so they can't draw out of it. This line is obviously a bit weaker, and it doesn't actually kill the table until you get to tutor your other win cons out, or if they have a Necropotence or some other pseudo-draw outlet. And then the third Hulk pile is grab Walking Ballista, Chaosian Hollowed, and your Hulk trigger. Walking Ballista will die, and you know the rest. Alternate win combo, we have Eternal Scourge and Food Chain Loop so that we get infinite mana for creatures. First, it gives us infinite creature mana, allowing us to do some very powerful things depending on our hand. Second, if you happen to have Cauldron Familiar and Viscera Seer in hand, you will perform the previous Food Chain Loop and win the game. So how does that win us the game, though? Oh, duh. Yeah, we get it back from the graveyard using its own ability to sacrifice a food, so that's pretty cool. Make sure you cast Guillaume this turn, cast the Familiar and Viscera Seer because Eternal Scourge entered the battlefield equal to some arbitrarily large number. You get that many foods plus 3 at the end step because of Guillaume's first ability. Food tokens come down, you sacrifice the cat with Seer's ability, and then you sacrifice a food token to bring the cat back to play, repeating the loop until you win. So how does that work, though? Did I read that right? I don't know. Does Guillaume trigger? I have to read that first. Does Guillaume trigger whenever a creature dies? Oh, the number you had entered the battlefield. Okay, that makes sense now. It triggers whenever a creature enters. So when Eternal Scourge and you're going through that combo with Food Chain, you're going to have Eternal Scourge enter the battlefield an infinite number of times, or at least at the end of your turn, it's going to be crazy how high that number is. And then you trigger Guillaume, and you get I don't know, 27 billion food tokens. That's when you go off and you just do the same thing here with Cauldron Familiar. You just sack it to Viscerseer. This triggers, and you do that however many times you want to. You bring it back from the graveyard because you have however many food tokens you want. So that's a win con right there. That's pretty cool. And the rest is just, it looks like stacks and stacks protection stuff. What a cool deck. What a cool deck. WIP is work in progress. Thanks for letting me know that. Void Mirror stops Force of Will and similar. Solid stacks piece. That's actually a good point. That's a great point. That's a big deal. Mental missteps, anything like that. You have to pay mana for that now. Marlin, an opposition agent, and you add Obnixilis from M15. Obnixilis and Marlin, I think that was an earlier combo, because if you force your opponents to search, you shut that down with Obnixilis. And also, what's the newer card? Scheming Symmetry. Scheming Symmetry in Obnixilis is a cool tech card. Pretty much turns that into a one-sided search. But yeah, Marlin makes for a pretty boring commander. I know people who thought Marlin would be fun, and then they play it, and then suddenly it's like, all right, you just sped the game up. It's not like speed the game up in a way that something like Nekasar would speed the game up. It speeds the game up in a way that if you have a win con, you just play it immediately. And that's what the game becomes. It's, all right, we can combo really quickly. Whoever's the first to get to their quick combo wins. Want to see some mono green mill? How about a deck where Chandra acts out Fahrenheit 451? How about a 99 land deck that actually wins? Yeah, sure, that sounds like a cool deck. There's actually, I don't know if it's a competitive EDH deck, but you can make a commander deck around, what's her name? CEDH Undead Vizier. And I forget the card that you win with. But all you have to do is just make sure that you just play nothing but swamps. And it's an ad nauseum combo deck, too. I'll have to find one. But gosh, I love janky competitive decks. I love those weird, very specific strategy win cons. I think we have enough time for one more deck to go over one more deck here. Oh, cool. So 11 Hour here just sent me a tapped out link so I can go over their deck. So let me go switch over to that now. So this is a Possibility Storm deck, my favorite card. How did you know? Is there like a visual aid here? That's the only downside here of tapped out. It's kind of why I switched. The visual layout for Moxfield is a little bit more appealing because you get to see the cards. So this is Nin the Paint Artist. I always thought Nin was a cool commander. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. You can see that. But you can pay X, blue and red, and tapper. She deals X damage to target creature. That creature's controller draws X cards. And there's a Stuffy Doll combo, if I believe right. And a Creepy Doll. Whenever Creepy Doll deals combat damage to a creature, flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy that creature. No, I'm talking about the Stuffy Doll combo. Because Stuffy Doll is indestructible, and you can deal that damage to an opponent. and you can still draw the cards. You'll still end up drawing the cards. You get to keep them. But I'm guessing this is a fun combo card. I gotta order this right. Converted cost. No, that didn't do it. Yeah, I haven't used this website in a long time, so it's a bit unusual for me. But the main card here, and this is one of my favorite cards, Possibility Storm. Whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it, and then you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a card that shares a card type with it. And then you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then you put the rest of the cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is one of my favorite combo cards. There are a lot of things that interact with it. A lot of cool commanders that interact with it. Rurik Thar is one that can deal a ton of damage to your opponents if they want to keep casting their non-creature spells. I mean, there's a ton of fun things you can do here. And it's most certainly one of the most chaotic cards. So I'm guessing this is sort of like a primer here. I've been wanting to have Possibility Storm in one of my decks for a while, but I couldn't seem to fit it in anywhere. So I finally decided to build a whole new deck around it. It's the first card I get cast whenever I have the chance. Even funnier when Grip of Chaos is out. So Grip of Chaos, I think these are also fun to play in just a pure Chaos deck too, but I guess Nin the Pain Artist can be pretty chaotic. Pretty fun. Scramble Verse, that's a headache. Resolve twice the first game. I've tried this deck out. LOL, it typically doesn't matter if opponents get my permanents. Nobody is ever mana screwed in these games, so much card draw. There's the Chance Encounter plus Frenetic Efreet in there too. So whenever you win a coin flip, you put a luck counter on Chance Encounter at the beginning of your upkeep. If you have 10 or more luck counters on it, you win the game. And you can flip a coin however many times you want to. Target opponent calls heads or tails while the coin is in the air. If the flip ends up in your favor, Frenetic Efreet phases out. Otherwise, bury Frenetic Efreet. So you could just activate this however many times you want to. I'm guessing in response to the first time you activate it, you can just activate it because it's zero. Because it's zero cost. I don't know if that works though. Does it work? Because once the first resolves, right? You flip a coin. I don't know. Oh yeah, there's Eye of the Storm in there too. Let's see. It's an enchantment, right? Whenever a player plays an instant or sorcery card, remove it from the game. Then that player copies each instant or sorcery card removed from the game with Eye of the Storm. For each copy, the player may play the copy without paying its mana cost. Wow, this is a mean deck. Oh, Forced Fruition. This just feels like it's a little bit of everything I've ever liked to play in Commander. Yeah, whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player draws 7 cards. 7. Let's see. Oh, Mind Moil's fun. Puka's Mischief. Interesting. This is an interesting deck here. Fiery Gambit for more coin flips. Game of Chaos is fun. Scramble Verse, of course. If you like everyone touching each other's cards. Warp World. Keranos, Xander Split, and Ulamog. What deck is this? Wow. Just a little bit of everything. Hey, I'll tell you what, though. If you play a creature, it means you could hit an Eldrazi. So, it's always something to keep in mind. Yeah, this does look like a cool deck. Does that actually work, though, with Frenetic Efreet? Does anybody know? Because I don't. It would still be on the stack, so it would work? Okay. It's just it wouldn't stick around. It would still have the ability on the stack. It's just winning a coin flip wouldn't matter. It's awesome. My wife doesn't want to play against it, though. Yeah, I mean, Chaos decks, it's always a problem of do the people enjoy playing against it? Because I've enjoyed making Chaos decks. I've enjoyed playing them. And then everyone around me's like, why did you do this? We were trying to have a serious game, and then you made this deck. So thank you all for stopping by here. Just wanted to do a quick stream here, about an hour-long stream, going over some decks, having some fun, talking to you guys in the chat. So it does work. It does work. The Frenetic Efreet. That's good to know. For future reference, I should say. I don't know everything. I get people who come in my chat and they expect me to know something, like I'm being paid by Wizards of the Coast to go over every single detail of their cards. Thanks for showing it, buddy. Yeah, no problem. I got to stream more often. Because it's good for channel growth, too. It's good for channel growth to do a little bit of everything. That's why I did the stories, the little short 20-second videos talking about news or whatever. That's good for channel growth. Those get a lot of views. Live streams are also good because you get super chats, you get that kind of stuff going. So thank you all for stopping by here. I am going to wrap it up right now. I will have regularly scheduled videos for the rest of this week. It's just for today. My schedule is very tight. So I will have the rest of the week covered. Just need some time to take a break here, relax, and do other things, family-related things. So you all have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next time.